Leaving the centuries of the old era and approaching the single digits of Anno Domini, the Roman Empire was getting to the pinnacle of its might. Though Rome was not as rich in art and ideas as Athens at the time of Pericles, it was highly dominant and influential in politics. Rome produced a great number of prominent politicians, but through his legacy of important writings, there is one who stands above them all: Marcus Tullius Cicero. Cicero's fiery rhetorical style led him into opposition with many mighty figures such as Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. As a result, Cicero's head, along with his dismembered hands, were nailed up at the Forum for display. This very head was responsible for introducing for the first time common words like science, individual, and property, protecting republican liberties and pushing for a new movement in government. In the year 63 BCE, at the height of his career, Cicero was elected to serve as consul, one of the two chief magistrates during the Roman Republic. By that period, the sheer size of the Roman domain outgrew the capacity of city government, yielding to powerful generals possessing huge armies in the distant provinces, drifting Rome away from its aristocratic political system. Figures like Pompey and Julius Caesar presented a great danger to a republic. Realizing this coming threat, Cicero was conscious of the necessity to reform the government principles in order to avoid the anticipated revolution. Just like Confucius, he had a benevolent attitude to the idea of the past golden age, which he was eager to revive. In his opinion, a well-functioning society must have a clear definition of things common and private. Cicero was a pioneer of the idea that the state is the guardian of the private property. He also believed that all humans have a natural instinct for justice. The role of the state was to reflect these aspirations in laws. Furthermore, since provincial customs might differ throughout the domain, it is the task of the government to consolidate and regulate local disagreements, to have them judged against the one concept of justice, the universal and rational law of the state. Another strong conviction of Cicero was that high elected officials should step away after serving just a single term, leaving no hereditary ties in power. Though he was aware that Rome had developed out of monarchy, he nevertheless believed that a mixed constitution was a much more prudent way to ensure the evolution of the state. Cicero's ideal republic was not led by philosophical principles, but guided by the objective rule of law. His fears were not in vain, as in 15 years after his death, civil war had destroyed the Roman Republic, ushering in a new era of empire. The end of the Christianized Roman Empire did not fail to produce a wide array of theological and political scholars. Augustine of Hippo deserves a bit more attention than others, as he is considered one of the most important church fathers in Western Christianity. Born to a Christian mother and pagan father, Augustine absorbed a broad range of philosophical schools, including Cicero, and decided to move to Rome to become a teacher of rhetoric. Believing that Christianity pertained only to uneducated slaves, Augustine reconsidered his views after meeting Ambrose of Milan. Along with converting to Christianity, Augustine broke with his past and denounced Greek philosophical thought. Combating the Manichaean religion to which he had formerly adhered, Augustine sold and gave away all his property to the poor. sparing only his family house, which he converted into a monastic foundation. He expressed his views on the government in his widely known work, The City of God. This book alone made a huge impact on the unfolding European political architecture of the coming ages. Bear in mind that the Roman Empire was at the finish line of its existence, and Augustine associated the condition of humanity with Rome itself. Self-government had proven to be ineffective. The only thing that can save and sustain us, in his opinion, is the grace of God. Therefore, the only task of politics is not to achieve prosperity, but merely to keep societies away from war. From then on, a well-balanced and sophisticated government ceased to be the ultimate goal. It simply needed to keep order in the declining and evil world. Earthly government is equal to the city of man, corrupt and unstable, whereas the city of God is the ultimate triumph as a reward for human hardships and suffering. From that point on, earthly political management had a secondary importance, yielding to the true objective, compensation in the afterlife. This did not mean rejecting earthly power entirely. Augustine was advocating for abolishing the regulations that limited human freedom. He wrote letters to the emperor to enforce effective laws against slave trading, which he considered an example of failure of the city of man. In any case, though awakened and inspired by the eloquence of Cicero, Augustine rejected human virtues, abandoning rational law as a leading principle in the state government, setting a tempo for the future political processes in the Western world. Though these great thinkers had opposing views on the government of the state, their views fused together in a peculiar way, shaping the outlook of Western rulers on political government of the state.